So guys, not to be the bearer of bad news or anything, but the 4th of April, we're going to be seeing another MPC meeting from the Central Bank of Lesotho. And if inflation levels are still high and not under control yet, we are definitely going to see another interest rate hike. And what does that mean? Less affordability for some of us, squeezed budgets, because we know those loan installments are not playing with us. They are not pap in place. Hi everyone, welcome back to Strategica channel. My name is Larato Sikansi, your investment and financial advisor. Do remember that Strategica is licensed by the Central Bank of Lesotho. So today we're going to talk about how are we surviving in these high inflation times. I know last year we did share a video where we were talking about the Russia-Ukraine war and what it meant for us. So on the backdrop of that is during COVID, when we were actually experiencing quite a low economic activity, we had the regulators, our governments, trying to make sure that they resuscitate the economy. And by doing so, we had lower interest rates. And what did we do? We went out to get more loans, we bought houses, we bought cars, because everything was so cheap. A year later, we are sitting at a prime of 10.75. And what does that mean for you? It means that all those debts that we took out during COVID, which were so affordable, are now so expensive. So how are you doing? So do grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee as we chat about this. So the best option for you guys, if you are not going to cook yourself, is actually to sit down and a budget. So like I said, grab that coffee, grab a notebook, grab your spreadsheet, and sit down and be truthful to yourself. So because of the increasing cost of living, whether it has been the food which has gone up, it is the fuel prices that have also gone up, everything is just expensive. And what does that mean? Our income has relatively stayed constant, so it means that our affordability has actually gone down. This is why I'm saying for most of us who got debts during that COVID relief period, and most of us were buying cars, we're buying houses because the property market was much cheaper, our affordability had somehow increased overnight, and then we got and attained some of the assets that now we're actually probably struggling to pay off. So the best thing that we need to do is actually, I can't hear you, budget. And the reason why I'm saying this is the only way that you can guarantee affordability and making sure that you're able to pay your monthly obligations is to sit down and be truthful to yourself. So the best place to start is actually with your budget. So as I've said, get that coffee ready and that notebook. So first of all, you start with putting down your income. So if you have multiple streams of income, you put them there and you tabulate them. Then we move on to our expenses. So you also put down your expenses. So remember, we always advocate for the 50-30-20 rule, but if you have deviated from this, please rest assured, do not push yourself under any kind of pressure, because we know that times have been tough. Affordability, as we had said, is now a problem, and we know that some people are actually having to deviate from that master plan of the 50-30-20 rule. So just put down your expenses, but still keep your categories. Make sure that you put your obligations down, you put down your discretionary income, which is what you want to do, which we said it's the 30%, but if it's not 30, like I've said, that's also perfectly fine. And then you put down the amount of money that you're putting away towards your savings, your investments, or paying extra debt. So once you have done that, we need to make sure that there is no deficit. And a deficit, this is when your expenses are actually more than your income, and this means that you are living beyond your means, and on a month-to-month basis you're probably using your credit card, if you have one, and financing some of the other items that you're seeing on that expenses list, or you're probably borrowing money either from a bank in the form of a loan or from relatives and friends. But like we're saying, we know that these are tough times, but let us make sure that we do not end up with a deficit. And if you do, then this is where we need to make cuts. I know some people might be embarrassed, but like I have said, things were much cheaper a year ago. You know, interest rates weren't as high as they are, and our affordability was we were quite comfortable with affording some of the things that we ended up purchasing. So if you need to let go of that house or the car because you can't afford it, please do not feel ashamed. You will still be able to get it at a later stage when you are financially prepared to take over that installment. For other people, for instance, who actually have cars, you can start with the lift sharing, where probably yourself and your neighbors are actually now sharing a transport. Let's say, for instance, myself, this week I'm the one that's taking everyone to work, and then the next week someone else does it. And if it's a group of 4 people, you'll find that in a month you're actually driving your car only once. And the high fuel prices that have gone higher because of the Russia-Ukraine war, you'd find that then you're actually not going to purchase fuel for the 3 weeks to commute to work. So that's also a saving in itself. So just sit down and talk with friends, talk with your family, and see what options you guys can come up with in order to make sure that you make the necessary cuts, or you make the necessary adjustment to make sure that you're still able to afford everything. So like I have said, this has not been an easy time for anyone, like myself as well. I know I've had to make some few adjustments in terms of how I'm actually surviving during these tough times. So remember, with that said, it's also important that we have what we call an emergency fund. I can never stress enough the need to have an emergency fund, and as we've said before, this needs to be around 3 to 6 months of your savings, of your monthly expenses, that have been put up in your savings, so that whenever there are challenges, then you know that there's some safety net that you have to be able to survive at the tough times. So guys, do remember that budgeting is also an iterative process that you go through on a monthly basis. So the reason why you do it monthly is so that you can improve month on month. So if you didn't do so well this month, which is the second month of 2023, be sure that there's still enough room for you to improve. Going further down, we still have 10 more months of the year where you can do better. But the main thing is making sure that you keep on improving and you keep on highlighting where you see concerns are. For instance, you might be a person that overspends on airtime and data and you don't realize it. And I know I fall under that bracket because it's so easy now with mobile banking that I tend to be purchasing airtime all the time, and even if I budget around 200 a month, I actually spend way more than that, and I have seen that it's high time that I actually rely on Wi-Fi. If there's no Wi-Fi, then I won't be online up until I get home and there's actually Wi-Fi for me to use. So do see where you've been overspending, see where there are areas of concern, and try to do better going forward, because the minute you are able to put everything into perspective and see where you haven't been going right, then it becomes so much easier to budget far much better, and to make sure that then, even if right now you're not adhering to the 50-30-20 rule, you can soon be on your way to being on track with your 50-30-20 budget rule. But guys, like I've said, these are tough times and all we're doing is just surviving, and don't beat yourself up for that, because we are all just surviving and trying to make a better life for ourselves and our families. So see you next time. Bye. Hi everyone, my name is Lagatas Kansi.